Why is it that you're getting more tired as you get older? When we were kids, we ran around outside all day, didn't we? And didn't come in until it got dark. So what happened? Now, most people just kind of blame this on aging. But what if I told you that your body is actually a battery that's being drained by ghosts in the system right at this moment? And just like a river that when it stops moving becomes a swampy breeding ground for parasites, your energy actually has stuck moments that are physically making you sick. Now, by the end of this video, you will understand why it is we lose energy, how we get sick in the first place, and importantly, what you can do about it. So let's dive into the anatomy of a blockage and how to stop the leak before it becomes a disease. Flow or die. Nature is always either growing, renewing, or it's dying. If we look towards nature, we can understand how some fundamental principles can be applied to many areas of life. Water flows without instructions downhill towards the sea. It doesn't need to be forced or coerced. It knows what it needs to do. A bubbling spring is vibrant and energized. But what if the water is unable to flow because it becomes stagnant, where it often forms a breeding ground for parasites? The lack of movement kind of builds up these organic debris, nutrients, and waste, and it becomes a potential hotspot for disease transmission. This means that the ground then becomes warmer, holds less oxygen, and now it's a perfect soup for bacteria and parasites to flourish. So, kind of similar to what happens inside humans. Energy is naturally flowing through the human body all of the time. Life force energy comes in through the root chakra, gets distributed through the energy channels and organs throughout the system. The lungs too bring in essential oxygen and chi. Liver and kidneys, they clean the body in many ways, and so does the lymphatic system. Your tiny little cells, they get fed by glucose or ketones, and autophagosomes keep everything clean and recycled inside the cell. Everything is naturally moving and flowing. So your body is constantly cleaning and healing itself all the time. Really, it's quite miraculous. And the problems only start when, like the flowing river, there is some kind of blockage. Now, this could be at a physical level, but it can also be at a mental or emotional level. And sometimes it can manifest at a spiritual level. Now, our bodies, of course, are very resilient. Our systems are very resilient. We all know the story of somebody's grandfather who smoked all their life and lived to be 98. Our systems can take quite a beating before any warning lights show on the body's dashboard. So, how does the natural flow of energy become blocked in the first place? Now, understanding this mechanism will help us to understand how to address it. I want to point out that we're looking at this topic within the framework of energy healing. But of course, I want to state here that there are many toxic external factors that can bring about disease and sickness, unfortunately. Now, that could be poor diet, as you know, poisoning of our soil with things like glyphosate, being exposed to EMFs in all their different forms. I don't want to depress you, but the list does go on and on. But here, we are going to zoom into the energetic and mental components of how we get sick. Okay, I want to introduce you to Lily. She's 4 years old and something happens. A scream, crash, a betrayal. And in that moment, her system is about to blow a fuse. But a security guard steps in to save her life. And we call that the healthy ego. It's your self-protection system. It does something quite miraculous. It sort of freezes time and it traps that moment, that energy trauma in a bubble so that Lily can keep going. And that's important because if a young undeveloped system gets hit with something that it's not psychologically or emotionally capable of dealing with, that can even split the psyche. So this self-protection mechanism locks and freezes that moment until Lily's old enough to deal with it later. Now, here's the question that nobody asks. Where does that bubble go? Because it doesn't disappear. It's actually stored inside a very specific vault in the body. And maybe decades later, if you haven't cleaned house, that vault could start to leak. Now, humans are meant to experience and feel. It's both necessary and essential for us to feel at an emotional level. It's actually one way that we give meaning to our experience. Now, of course, we like all the positive feelings and emotions, joy and excitement. For example, we seek these and we tend to have the idea that life is good and wholesome, and then the sun is shining on us, metaphorically speaking. But we tend to withdraw from challenging emotions. Shame or guilt are obviously quite painful for us, and we often interpret those kind of experiences to mean that there's something wrong with life or something wrong with us. Emotions in reality are impersonal, and ultimately, you choose what kind of reactions and relationships you have with your experience. But my point here is simply to underline our general tendency in relationship to emotional and mental experiences. So we often tend to sort of close down, right? Move away from negative feelings and emotions. We hold our breath up in the system. We put tension on in all kinds of ways. For example, if someone is directing anger or blame towards us, or it could be our own internal dialogue, which is kind of engaging with guilt or remorse, for example. We don't want to feel these things, and it's understandable. And we've developed a number of tools to help us, right? So we might use food to push away unpleasant things, maybe alcohol or drugs, or we can use the I'm busy strategy, right? Do you recognize this? Sort of racing through life at a fast pace, ticking off boxes and trying to outrun feelings and emotions. We might engage with the mind, hanging out more in the mental realm, as to not be in the body with all of its annoying feelings. And probably you could think of a few more mechanisms yourself. If you have some ideas, leave me a comment. I'm interested. What is your favorite tactic? But here's my question. What do they all have in common, right? They all force us to constrict and block. And I'm sure you know, everything is energy and frequency. So emotions, thoughts, feelings, they're all types of energy that really need to flow. So when we're putting tension in our system, in whatever manner, we stop that natural flow of energy. And when we do this repeatedly over time, blockages and stagnation build up that have an effect on surrounding areas like organs, energy centers, energy channels. And this is often how disease begins. You're not tired because you're busy. You're tired because you're running a high security prison inside your own cells. And that costs plenty of life force energy every single day. But what if you could just let all of those prisoners go? Now, step back with me for a moment. Take a deep breath. Let your awareness expand outwards in all directions. I want to put us inside a big evolutionary context because this is going to help us understand what's going on. Because universe is looking to move all life in this kind of upward spiral. Ever higher levels of harmony, communion, and spiritual expression. That's really just how the universe works. And we, as vehicles for spirit, are helping the universe evolve. So when we choose love over blame, support over selfishness, or gratitude over discontent, we're actually assisting spirit in and through our being. And I'm sure you know how this feels because it gives you a sense of real meaning and purpose, right? It's wholesome. And it allows us to access the next level in many areas of our lives, right? Whatever that might be. So from this perspective, let's examine an interrupted life moment, right? One of those frozen moments. And emotion is entering your system, right? So imagine it as a kind of vibrating wave of energy. If we choose to push it away, what happens? So firstly, it cannot evolve. And it's looking actually to find its highest expression through you. So maybe we could have responded to anger or whatever it was that came in with love and compassion. Now, though, we choose to ignore it, right? We tense our muscles, push it away in one of our practice manners. Over time, this wave of energy and potential cannot be transmuted to higher areas. So what happens? It begins to slow down. Ooh. Now, of course, it's going to be attracted to places of similar frequency. And if there are similar unprocessed moments, they're going to get stuck in the same area. Now we have an energy which is stuck, but also the muscle and fascia placed under tension, right? They're losing their softness and life force energy. Is finding it more difficult to move into these areas. Can you imagine? The original emotion is still seeking expressions through you, but now because it can't go up, it's more likely to try and find its exit through sickness or disease. So our denial has corrupted the original energy form. It can only find its way out through the more dense physical layers of the body. It had its inception in the human vehicle of conscious awareness. So it just can't vanish. It has to go somewhere. Life is existing in and through us in the relationship we choose to have with it. So now it finds its expression in our pain and suffering. Does this making sense to you? I hope it's not too abstract. This is actually what's happening. Now that we see how energy descends and distorts when it's blocked, where do you think that energy ends up in the body? Now, if you've ever had chronic lower back pain, that might sometimes be about how you've been sitting at your desk and kind of hunched over. But often, it's something way more important. If your thyroid is failing, that might not be genetics. Your body is a map of all of your frozen moments, right? So what I want to do with you right now is go through each of the 7 chakra points, your most important energy centers of the body. And what I want you to do, listen very carefully and engage your intuition to see which centers you feel are calling your attention. Okay, start with the root chakra right down by the perineum. This is where your life force energy enters the body. It's the very foundation on which all of the other energy transformation centers stand. Right? Our primal chakra gives us our ability to exist in the first place. So if we're challenged here at a fundamental level with our being, we can really experience issues, right? We can have lower back pain, we can experience anxiety or insecurity, digestive disorders. Now, the second chakra, the sacral chakra, right, that's about 2 finger widths above the navel, is the secondary energy center. And it is concerned with reproduction, and it's a primary expression of life force energy. And blockages here can actually stop vital energy flowing in an optimal way to your center of will, right? That leads to apathy. It can be linked with addictive behaviors, guilt, shame. They can get stuck here. And it can also be connected as well with lower back pain or pelvic issues. Now, the second chakra is connected with aspects of our hormonal system, right? So estrogen, progesterone in females and testosterone in males. And it can, of course, therefore affect your reproductive health, right? It has links with kidneys and adrenals. Okay, let's go up third chakra. So as we're going through, just check in with yourself if you're noticing anything. The third chakra is located in the upper abdomen, right? Just by the navel and stomach. And if you take a deep breath here, you're going to notice it a bit better. This energy center is directly connected with personal power, right? Self-confidence, willpower, but also digestion. It's connected with the stomach, where your food gets converted into chi. The liver regulates the smooth flow of chi and emotions like anger, which can impact the solar plexus and the chakras balance. So it's connected with kidneys, and it's associated with important hormones such as cortisol and adrenaline. Some possible physical issues here, imbalances can be high stress, burnout, and also low motivation levels can have their origin here. Okay, let's go up to your heart chakra, right? You feel this more easily because this is kind of where you experience love energy. So at the center of the chest, this is the center that governs your emotional harmony, love, empathy. In traditional Chinese medicine, the heart is the seat of the spirit. They call that Shen. And that governs blood circulation and emotions like joy, sadness. Here also is the pericardium. It's often referred to as the heart's shield. And that literally protects the heart, regulates emotional boundaries. And it's actually quite important because it can protect your heart from strong shocks like grief or betrayal. Okay, let's go to the throat chakra. This is governing communication, self-expression, and importantly, manifestation. You might find the root of respiratory issues here and thyroid disorders. And this chakra is most connected with the lungs. It's associated with self-expression, releasing emotions, and suppressed grief can manifest here as lung-related issues, right? Shortness of breath, throat chakra blockages, difficulty speaking, difficulty expressing yourself properly. Okay, sixth chakra. This is governing intuition, insight, mental clarity, and perception. The kidneys store Jing energy, the essence that supports brain function, mental clarity, and longevity. So neurological issues can manifest here, right? Headaches, migraines, or brain fog, right? Due to poor kidney Jing or liver stagnation. And imbalances at this center can be the root of vision problems, sinus infections, and sleep disorders. Mental issues such as overthinking. I don't know if you ever do much of that. I certainly do. Anxiety, lack of intuition, they can also have their root here. Okay, crown chakra. This, as I'm sure you know, governs spiritual connection and higher consciousness. And when sufficient life force energy is able to ascend through the chakra system, nourished by Jing energy from the kidneys, this energy center enables your higher spiritual connectivity. Now, imbalances at this center can lead to similar neurological issues as those found with the previous center, right? If someone is wrestling with important emotional and spiritual issues to do with fundamental meaning and purpose, that can also to do with energy blockages here. Okay, how was that journey of the chakras for you? Leave me a comment if you got a hit at one of these centers. I would love to hear from you. Now, imagine all of the stuck moments that build up during the lifetime of an average person, right? That's probably going to be a lot. And each of these moments requires a little bit of life force energy every day to be used to keep it locked, right? Every single day. So now you can understand why young children are so vital and free and in their expressions, and adults have a difficult time. Now, those of you who are beginning to awaken spiritually are becoming aware of these stuck energy forms in yourself. And rightly, you're bringing conscious awareness to them so that they can be released. Now, what are some of the ways to do this, right? You can do this with Reiki, yoga, breath work, Qigong, acupuncture can be really useful to get things moving. All of these forms are great. It doesn't matter too much, whatever works for you. And I think the only guidance I would add to this is to say that whichever system works for you is good. But when you let go, make sure you really let go. Don't get attached to the story around the original trauma, right? Don't get enamored with the idea of being a spiritual person doing the work, because our ego is always going to try and attach itself to anything, right? So when you let go, take out the trash. Okay, so what can you do right now to take action in this area? Now, if you don't already know me, my name is Justin Peach, and I've been teaching Reiki for more than 25 years. And many of my students over the years report to me that Reiki has made an extremely positive impact on their health and their energy levels. And if you'd like to learn more about Reiki or energy healing and how it can help you with where you are right now, then check out our online community. In my online classes, you're going to learn how to treat yourself, how you can treat others with Reiki. Everybody can learn this. I've guided more than 4,000 students across 3 different countries, and really I'd love to help you grow and awaken energetically. You can try us out for 7 days for free, no obligation. Find the link in the description below. And if you like this video, please leave a like and a comment. And if you put a question in there, I will make sure I get back to you. So thanks so much for watching.